Let us hear the words of the Reverend Dr. Richard Gilbert, Gentleness in Living. Be gentle with another. It is a cry from the lives of people battered by thoughtless words and brutal deeds. It comes from the lips of those who speak them and the lives of those who do them. Who of us can look inside another and know what is there of hope and hurt or promise and pain? Who can know from what far places each has come, or to what far places each may hope to go? Our lives are like fragile eggs. They crack and the substance escapes. Handle with care. Handle with exceedingly tender care, for there are human beings within. Human beings are vulnerable as we are, who feel as we feel, who hurt as we hurt. Life is too transient to be cruel with one another. It is too short for thoughtlessness, too brief for hurting. Life is long enough for caring, and it is lasting enough for sharing, precious enough for love. Be gentle with one another. Today, I'm going to tell you the secret of life as it's known to me. But I thought I better check with some experts first. So I talked with my spiritual advisor. I Googled secret of life, and that really didn't help. My spiritual advisor gave me some thoughts. But so to cover all my bases, I think we should ask the expert on everything. Let's see what happens. Hey, Siri, what's the secret of life? Your phone's not connected to the internet? Well, I sort of have a little thing prepared in case she didn't respond. Here's what I had her, she said to me another day when I was trying this out. 42? That didn't make any sense. I'll try again. I'm pretending now, as you all know. Hey, Siri, what is the secret of life? It's really hard to hear. Hey, Siri, please tell us, what's the secret of life? Try to be nice to people? Avoid eating too much fat? Read a good book now and then. Go for a walk every day. Well, it all sounds pretty good, but that's just a list, not the full picture. I'm ready to tell you the real secret of life. I've worked on this. Are you ready? The secret of life is love. You probably already guessed. The secret of life is not hidden. The secret of life really is love. 20th century Unitarian minister Waldemar Argo said it well. An eternal verity abides beneath diversities. We are the children of one great love, united in one eternal family. Now, I don't know what year he wrote that in. Until I read that, I'd never heard of Reverend Waldemar Argo. Any of you ever read anything by him? But I really like this. And that's the secret. We are all children of a single great love. No us and them, or as universalism from long ago reminds us, the first letter of John, chapter 4, verses 7 through 8 says, God is love. Having been part of a universalist congregation, they're part of the UU world, but they really remember their universalist heritage. And every Sunday, in one way or another, we were reminded, and they still do this for each other, that God is love. It welcomes all in love. And that is something to really contemplate, the full depth of that meaning. Love, God, both function more as verbs than nouns. Love is an integrating force of the universe. We can sense it, see it, if we pay attention. Our lives are meant to be in relationship. We can experience this integrating force, especially in the natural world, where things are always being born from other things created anew. And it's true, not all things are experienced as good. There's the reality of suffering, tragedy, chaos, randomness in the universe. Love may not be all powerful, but it's stronger than anything else. The late Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says, the ultimate lesson we all have to learn is unconditional love, which includes not only love for other people, but also ourselves as well. When we listen, watch, or read the daily news, you might wonder about the extinction of love in the world. It usually gets my blood pressure up for one reason or another. And there's so much hatred, angry rhetoric, and violence, indifference, greed, and cruelty. They all exist. But underneath all that horrible behavior is fear. I have to remind myself that often when people are acting out. And where does it come from? I've learned that fear comes from hurt or trauma. All people have been hurt, some more deeply than others. And some people's lives are deep chasms of loveless existence. Just as fear, hurt, and distrust are real, love, that universal love with a capital L, always seeks to heal, to fulfill, to complete, reconcile, harmonize, and to make whole. Above all, though, to create. The love we experience in our lives changes us. Our universalist ancestors knew the secret of life. We're all worthy of love and are meant to live our lives with love as a foundation of our being. And there's a reality that some people experience in moments of great love where you catch a glimpse of the oneness of all being. But it's hard to hold on to. We are not the same when touched by love, divine love, or other forms of love. There is peace, even if it's momentary. There's peace with the self in the world, and you know you belong, even if it's just for a moment. And those moments like that happen in moments of awe for anyone, despite the limits and fragility of our existence. You know, our English language is very rich, but it's somewhat lacking in expressions of love. Divine love, that feeling of experience of awe, oneness, peace with the world. There are the words to describe it. Many people have written of it, and there are love poems to God from the Sufi mystics that express the energy of love as ecstatic experience. The Christian mystics wrote quite a bit of beautiful volumes, words that express their mystic experiences. And then, of course, another form of love, there's eros, that romantic, passionate, sexual love, and so much has been written through the ages of that one. I actually came across, I don't know if you guys have received your UU World for this part of the year that speaks of different experiences of our faith. And one of the ministers wrote about the fact that one of her practices is reading romantic novels because they always contain such hope for the spirit. And I was just like, God, she admits that? I don't tell too many people that I love to read romance books. Storge, or storge. Imperfect as it is, that's another form of love, and that's, of course, the love of parents for children. Their love helps establish us all in the world. And then there's philia. That speaks to deep friendships and affection. How can we survive without friendship? People who care for us and enjoy being with us. And then that includes brotherly love. And then, of course, there's agape love. That love sometimes referred as the highest love. Love and compassion for all. Love of the soul. Ideal love. This is a love that needs to be nurtured. You might know it, feel it, but such love for all people, it's just not easy. But agape love reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Mother Teresa, who cared for the poor and sick of India. I have it printed out and kept it in my desk in my office all these years. She says, "We cannot do great things in this life, only small things with great love." And Mother Teresa will always be remembered for her example of both philia and agape love. All forms of love that I've mentioned are actually parts of divine love. Some spiritual teachers believe a desire for God is at the root of a desire for love. Everyone's life is a treasure journey to be shared and learned from. Our destiny and desire to love and be loved, it moves through life, as I mentioned before, more as a verb, not a noun, a way of living. Love can be experienced as divine energy, love for your neighbor, love of God, or ultimacy in the universe are both inherent to this one great love which we all belong. We're the children of that great love, and we are meant to be loved. But we might forget we're humanly imperfect, but love requires courage, to take a risk of being vulnerable, to be real with one another. It's tragic when we close off like a fortress of protection that eventually becomes a prison, keeping all love and life from flourishing. You've known people like that, I'll bet, or known of them. For those who find it scary to be vulnerable and open to love, maybe you've been hurt one too many times. We can start by loving ourselves, accepting ourselves with all our imperfections, flaws, quirks, and letting others see just as we are, being real with ourselves and real with the people that we interact with. Our Universalist heritage teaches us that we are all worthy truly of love. There's nothing that we have to do, no list of accomplishments that we need to do first. We're worthy in all our imperfections. Even if you lose your hair or you become worn and shabby, like the Velveteen Rabbit in that classic children's story by the same name. I was going to share that story today, but it is pretty long, and we realized the children weren't going to be here, but I'm hoping all of you know that story. If you don't, you can Google it, find that book, and read it. You will enjoy at any age. Someone said, the ultimate lesson all of us have to learn is unconditional love, which includes not only others, but I say it again, ourselves as well. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, the story of the prodigal son, that's a classic example of unconditional love. It's ripe with images of God's generosity and how we separate ourselves from that one great love. A man with two sons finds the younger one before him one day, asking for his share of his father's inheritance early. The father gives it to him, and he leaves home, squandering the money or on partying, and he ends up being only able to feed pigs, a very low existence for a Jewish man. Remembering how his father loves him and the better life that he had had, he wants to return home, but he can't quite believe his father will accept him. Time passes. Things get worse. So the son returns, hoping that he can be a laborer or a slave on his father's farm. Seeing him, the father is overjoyed for his long-lost son, and he calls for a celebration, placing a ring on his son's finger, a robe on his shoulders, and he calls for the fattened calf to be for the celebration feast. Now, the older brother, the one who always follows the rules, the good and faithful son, as he sees it, refuses to join the party. He says it's so unfair. I've stayed and worked for you, and you never gave me a goat to celebrate with my friends. And the father says, son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. We must celebrate and be glad because your brother was lost and now is found. This story shows the unconditional love that is there for each of us. It also highlights two of the ways we often separate ourselves from that love, creating our own private hell. From the younger son's point of view, haunted by our past mistakes, can we accept love? Will we let past abuse, betrayal, whatever regrets we carry keep us from feeling deserving of the love that is available to all? Then there's the older son's point of view, locked in his own self-righteous anger, convinced, like him, we are doing everything right and deserve only the best. Can we open our hearts to see what is ours when someone who doesn't act or believe the right way benefits from God's love too? Can we? We create our own hell when we fail to trust in love, when we cling to our own version of the story as the only truth. We cut ourselves off from the love of others, from the love we deserve, the one great love which we are a part. Because we are love, we're all deeply connected in an all imperfectly whole. Everything you do or say impacts others. And we must learn to handle one another with care, as Reverend Richard Gilbert says from our meditation reading this morning. Our lives are like fragile eggs. Who of us can look inside another and know what is there? Hope and hurt, or promise and pain, thoughtless words and brutal deeds. Remembering the ways of unconditional love, we need to be gentle with one another. And on a different note, I wanted to include a little modern psychology. Developmental psychologist Karen Hull has studied the impact of human connection on longevity. In a 2018 TED Talk, that's short for entertainment and design. I got my tongue all twisted there for a second. Anyway, she highlights the need for love, kindness, human connection she believes that they are essential to living a happy life. The need for friendship and support are fundamental human needs, she says, and we need others to share our joys, our challenges, to celebrate with us, to encourage and inspire us. And in that TED Talk, Dr. Hull highlights the research of Julian Holt Lundstedt of Brigham Young University. In a series of studies over about tens of thousands of middle-aged people, every aspect of lifestyle was recorded. Then the team sat back. They didn't probably sit, but anyway, they waited 7 years before contacting the people again. So after those 7 years, they wanted to see who was still around, or the people who were left standing, as Dr. Hull said. The question was, what reduced their chances of dying the most? The data in summary may surprise you. From least powerful predictor, now this is going from the least powerful to the strongest powerful predictor of longevity. The lowest two, kind of surprised me, clean air and hypertension treatment. I could go, okay, that's real low on the scale. She says we can stop feeling guilty about being too lean or overweight. I was going, yeah, that's good. That was the third lowest. And exercise is only number 4. Cardiac rehab, 5th. Having a flu vaccine protects you more than exercise at number 6. Quitting boozing and smoking. Now those are number 7 and 8. Research shows 2 features of our social lives as the most important influences on longevity. There goes. Number 9, your close relationships. People you can call on for a loan, to reach out for a ride to the doctor or the hospital, sit with you in the middle of some crisis, be present with you in your grief or despair. Dr. Hull says that if you have these people, they are a strong predictor of how long you will live. They're a huge help to your longevity. And here's number 10, a big surprise. It's called social interaction, meaning making. How much do you interact with people as you move through your day? How many people do you talk to? So it's important for us to look not just at the people we're really close to, but we really need to interact with people in our daily lives. Now, I know this is really easy for the extroverts among us, but I can tell you, as an introvert, that's not exactly sometimes how I make my way through my day. Things are rough. I'm like kind of pull in. Do you talk with people who make your coffee? Do you speak with the neighbors regularly? Do you play bridge or belong to a book club? Are you active with people in this congregation? You volunteer? Are you in some kind of a group? Do you talk with people? Do you slip in the door and out again, or do you stay? Do you stay online if you're with us in Zoom and interact with people afterwards? Or you get off real quick and go about your day? In-person social interaction are not only necessary for human happiness, but also key to health and possible longevity. We can choose to see every interaction as an opportunity, a chance to form a connection or strengthen a bond, to see and be seen, to share our humanity with another person and fully see theirs. It might be you're the only place or person of connection in a lonely person's life. And this is an important example of sharing that agape love, and so important to living out the secret of life. Let us remember, Love is the secret of life, and love lives at the heart of our Unitarian Universalist faith. With love, let us build a solid foundation for the work we do in our families, our faith communities, and our world. Friends, in spite of all our differences, continue to love one another. The Universalist part of our faith understands that God is love. Now you, too, know the secret of life. Amen.